What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another exciting installment of the Roundtable Network News. I'm your boy, the franchise player, Double B Bad, but I am joined by the Drew Nicholas. And Drew, we have a lot of news this week. WrestleMania is exactly 1 week from today.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Man, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. There's 1,001 things going on at WrestleMania. I mean, like I was telling you off the air, over 300 live events for WrestleMania week. So many that I'm not even going to list them on this show tonight.
We'll be here for 5 hours.
We'll be here for 5 hours, really. Let's start with some AEW stuff, man. Like AEW has been kicking out a lot of news lately. I mean, here, I'll let you start off.
All right. So, the Wrestling Observer newsletter had reported on Kenny Omega's AEW return, and something concerning about it, unfortunately. Towards the end of 2023, as we know, Kenny Omega was scheduled to be in a match with Chris Jericho versus, I believe it was the Young Bucks.
Yes, it was
Unfortunately,
AEW World Tag Team titles or whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was unable to as a result of diverticulitis, which is a very, very terrible disease. We already know. We know about that from other people who have had that while wrestling. I will not mention his name, but
yeah,
as reported by the newsletter, Omega is highly unlikely to require surgery after multiple doctors have advised him this is the best route to take. Now, of course, there's his rival, Mr. Kenny Omega. His rival, Kazuchika Okada, is Kenny's rival.
Your current AEW Continental Classic champion, by the way.
That's right. Brand new. Congratulations to him. The Young Bucks, the EVPs, brought in Okada to essentially replace Kenny Omega in the Elite. They fired Kenny Omega from the Elite. And as a result of that, like you said, Okada is now the Continental champion. And it seemed to have been building up to a match between the two, because, obviously.
That's what we hope.
that's what we hope, at least. But
Omega 5.
Yeah. Now, he said surgery is seeming more likely. It's becoming more and more likely as two different doctors have told him that they think it's the best option. But it's not 100% that he's going to have surgery. It's just looking more likely, unfortunately, that that will happen, particularly if he wants to get into condition to resume his wrestling career at the height that he had been right after dealing with all of those issues that he had to take out almost a year for the vertigo that he was experiencing and all those other issues that he had right when he was champion. So we're hoping and praying that Kenny Omega will get better soon, regardless of what option he decides to go with. It seems more likely that the surgery option is what's going to happen, which will again stretch his time out probably for almost the entire year. So, but of course, health comes first, health and wellness, and we wish him the best.
Yeah, I mean, being a professional athlete, man, like it's rough when you can't do what you're born to do. You know what I mean? Like when you were a professional athlete and that's like your livelihood, it's hard. I tore my meniscus and I've been wrestling over 80% of my life. So when I couldn't go out and do it, it was like, wow, that's when depression sets in. I'm glad Omega is doing things to keep him going, like the video game stuff. And, I'm glad he's getting himself healthy physically, but mentally and emotionally, he needs to be better too. And I'm glad he's taking the time to do that.
Yeah.
This is a very serious thing. I mean, at one time, I believe at one time, the doctor said it was 50-50 he will live. So that's crazy. Like, oh man, get better soon, Kenny Omega. That's crazy. Speaking of getting better soon, we may have Matt Hardy in AEW for much longer, or maybe he will be at WWE in WrestleMania. Who knows? One thing is for sure that Matt Hardy said on his podcast, I have an AEW contract sitting in front of me. It's for a few years. And he said this on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy podcast the other night. He provided a update on his contract talks. He says, I have an AEW contract sitting in front of me for a few years. I'm looking through it. I'm deciding what I want to do going forward. There's obviously still some options. I got to make sure that I'm aware of the ins and outs of the contract. I want to make sure that everything is up to par as far as what I want it to be, because once again, as I've said pretty often, I know I only have a couple of years left in doing this, and I want to make the most of those years. Whatever it is, I want it to be optimized. I want it to be optimized in whatever I'm doing. That's very important to me. I'm very happy to be invited to return to AEW for work and for AEW for the foreseeable future. But we shall see, because right now I'm going through weighing the options, and there are a couple things out there. I would say in the next month I should probably know what the immediate future holds for me. Legacy is very important to me, and there's only a couple years left doing this. The schedule is very important to me because I want to spend as much time as I can with family. That is very important. If I'm working with Jeff, it is very important to me that the Hardys are optimized. It is very important that the Hardys go out on a strong note. That's what's important to me. So he may stay with AEW if things work out to where the Hardys are actually doing good and not being regulated to the Ring of Honor shows or the AEW Rampage.
Yeah. I do remember not too long ago, I believe it was Jeff that was complaining about that vocally.
Oh yeah. He was on Twitter bashing it, like, he's a Rampage boy. He wants to be a Collision cowboy. Like, I mean, there were a lot of people upset. Let's just call it what it is. The Hardys came to AEW. The Bucks brought them in because the Bucks had their dream match, the Bucks versus the Hardys. We saw that in Ring of Honor, so I didn't really care seeing it in AEW, to be honest with you. But they were brought in and they were underutilized. And then Jeff had a bunch of problems, losing his license for the rest of his life, not being able to drive a car anymore, several DUIs. He came back, had some great matches.
Really great match with Darby Allin.
Yes. Went on a downward spiral. Now he's kind of getting his career back in order again. So, I mean, this isn't the Hardys from 1999. This isn't the Hardys versus the Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys in the ladder match. This isn't those Hardys anymore.
Nor are you the bad blood of 1999, nor am I the Drew.
You are damn right. I'm not the bad blood of 2021, actually. Yeah, trust me. It's rough.
Something that hit me the most in that quote that you said from the podcast was that the schedule is very important to him. And that makes me think probably going to be AEW again, because
think about it. TNA has the same type of schedule.
Well, that's true.
MLW has the same type of schedule as well.
And they've got some more money these days.
And they got that money. Yeah.
From that $20 million settlement from a lawsuit. So
that's right.
So we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't mind the Hardys and TNA. I wouldn't mind the Hardys and MLW even. I mean, that could be really
I would
fun.
prefer the Hardys go to MLW. Can you imagine them winning the MLW tag team belts? Huh. They've been WWF, WWE, they've been AEW, they've been Ring of Honor.
Well, they've been WWE, but they were in. Oh, you mean just the companies that they were in?
Yeah. They've gone to all these companies, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. So
yeah. So speaking of contract news, there's a backstage update on MJF's contract status.
Mm-hmm.
This is reported by PW Insider Elite. So far in 2024, AEW had soldiered forward without the presence of MJF, which has been felt, by the way. Him being missed lately. Oh, yeah. I've been feeling it, definitely. He, of course, lost his AEW World Championship at World's End late December.
Yeah.
And that's it. He hasn't been seen on TV. He hasn't appeared in a video package. He hasn't been completely off air. He's been completely off of Twitter, off of social media. He has been off of the website. He's not listed as a roster member. His merch isn't on AEW shop. It's nowhere.
I mean, that's
Nothing.
because he's Lance Von Erich. That's why.
Yeah. Um. So, we had originally it says some have attributed its absence to his AEW contract expiring in early 2024, as MJF had been teasing when they were doing the Bidding War of 2024 storyline.
Yeah.
Which they seem to have dropped after the Adam Cole friendship started. So, PW Insider Elite reports at this time MJF is still on the road to recovery and is still working towards rehabbing his injuries, which included a torn labrum
Jeez,
in his
that's
shoulder.
rough. That's rough.
Yeah, that's a really rough one. No information was provided on whether MJF had surgery to help heal the injury, as previous reports had him debating whether to have a procedure or to let the injuries heal with rehab. Regarding his contractual status, he's currently, like I said, he's currently not listed under the AEW roster. But the belief is that he is with the promotion still, that he has signed a contract. And in addition, it's been confirmed MJF was in Boston, Massachusetts during AEW Big Business.
Yeah.
On March 13th. He met with AEW officials there. And when and if MJF returns, it's expected he will resume his ongoing storyline with former friend Adam Cole, himself, of course, still recovering from a broken ankle that he suffered at Grand Slam last year. So it's unfortunate, we have a bunch of injuries in this storyline that can be, but the belief as of now is that MJF is under contract with AEW, even though he's been taken off the roster page, even though his shop AEW page is gone, and that they're just selling the fact that his contract was up in 2024. So, what do you think? Do you think?
Honestly, man, they dropped the ball with that whole bidding war of 2024 thing when they announced a couple months back that he had re-signed with AEW. They let that slip through their fingers, and I mean that totally destroyed the whole thing. And that's probably the reason why the ratings are getting bombarded, like getting smashed, like they are. I mean, look, let's talk about AEW Dynamite, man. AEW Dynamite had the lowest ratings since June 24th of 2020. They have the lowest ratings for Dynamite. It took a hit in viewership figures, including the lowest ratings of 18 to 49 age demographic since 2020. March 27th episode from Quebec City averaged 747,000 viewers and 301,000, which is a 0.23% in the 18 to 49 demographic. That came from WrestleNomics from Brandon Thurston. The guy does amazing work. Well, Brandon Thurston reported on Twitter, he said, NBA TV ratings on ESPN from Wednesday night. Clippers versus 76ers. From 741, they had 1.225 million viewers. The age 18 to 48 demographic was 0.44. The Suns and Nuggets also had a game at 10:08 p.m. Had 1.435 million views. The 18 to 49 demographic was a 0.48. NBA TV ratings from, this has been the lowest audience on a regular night since April 7th, 2021. AEW is suffering without having someone like MGF at the helm. And we all watched AEW Dynamite. We said it was one of the best shows they put on in a while.
Yeah,
I mean, you've had dream matches on these shows.
I don't put stock in ratings, but I do understand from the business side. Ratings are important.
Oh yeah, that's where your money is.
If nobody's watching your show, there's no point in your show being on television.
That's true.
So, and obviously 747,000 is not nobody. That's
I mean, that's a significant viewership. But
yes.
when CM Punk was there, doing 1 million, doing 1.5, almost doing 2 million views just because of him being on the roster. And now they're doing 747,000 views. I mean, you can always attribute it to the fact that the NBA is on TNT at the same time. So
True.
the NBA is
It's difficult.
obviously yeah.
NBA is going to dominate as
Yep.
football does on Monday nights, which is why
Mm-hmm.
Raw takes a hit sometimes too. It's sports out outweighs sports entertainment. It seems it, it's just a thing. It's every year football season. Raw's ratings are not that great. Basketball season, we see stuff like this, and AEW Dynamite had been doing. They haven't gone to a million like they'd gotten previously. It's been
Mm-hmm.
a while actually since they've gotten a million, but they're usually teeter between like the 850 to 900,000 range. But when there's sports, it just everything takes a hit, and I'm not going to be one of the people that's like, oh well, a lot of people are leaving cable and going to streaming services. So,
Yeah. I mean,
which is true. It's true,
it is
but
true actually.
there's still a very large amount of people with cable boxes.
Oh
Now,
yeah,
not all
cable
of those
cable is still
people.
out there.
Yeah,
Spectrum, CenturyLink. I mean, cable is still out there. It's just
yeah.
you
Now
know
you can say maybe the Nielsen model is
those
not.
Nielsen's. Damn
That's an inside
Nielsen's.
joke. You should check the Roundtable Pro Wrestling podcast for that one.
Monday, Wednesdays, and
Um,
Friday nights.
um, the Nielsen model is maybe not as accurate anymore as it used to be. The
Yeah.
technology isn't as up to date, but it's still a metric that's used to determine whether a show is kept on TV or not.
I mean, like the Nielsen ratings, the way they work, sometimes they work against you because, quite honestly, what if you're one of those people that isn't at home at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night to watch Dynamite, and Dynamite's on for 2 hours? You get home at 10 o'clock, you rewind the DVR and you watch it. Those numbers aren't counting, which I think is stupid because people are still watching the show.
Yeah, it's
So
that's that's why we're saying with the technology, it's not up to par anymore. It'd be nice if there was something that did include people rewinding at 10 p.m. to rewatch the show or watch the show. And
well, maybe the new chief operating officer of AEW may have some information on how that might be a thing. Drew, what do you think about that?
that is true. We do have a new chief operating officer for All Elite Wrestling, and on March 26th, that was a couple of days ago. There was a Tuesday, I believe. AEW CEO Tony Khan announced that Kosha Irby officially joined All Elite Wrestling as Chief Operating Officer. Um, they are going to be overseeing the planning and execution of all live events, marketing and finance, as well as human resources, licensing, consumer pride. Like really, they're overseeing all
Everything.
of AEW's business. Um, he's joining AEW from Clemson University, where he served as chief marketing officer with the athletic department, and had previously held positions with Memphis Express of the Alliance of American Football as chief marketing officer. So he seems to be
He knows his
a
business.
marketing guy. All these marketing positions.
I know at one time he was a regional director of live events for the WWE also.
I'm seeing this story for the first time, and I've just noticed that after Memphis Express of the Alliance of American Football is Professional Bull Riders as
Hey man.
president.
Hey man.
President of Professional Bull Riders. Yeehaw. And and of course, he was also in WWE as regional director of live events.
I mean, the guys have
Have
decades of experience with sports entertainment. So I mean, the
Yes,
guy's got
and bull riding apparently.
yeah, apparently.
But I mean, hey, if you like that, that's fine. That's not for me, but you know that's something that's for somebody. So
Yeah, it's definitely
good
for
for y'all.
somebody.
We have a quote from Tony Khan says, "Kosha brings decades of experience within the sports, entertainment, and wrestling industries." Should have included bull riding.
Got some bull.
That just blew my mind, honestly.
I can see the look on your face when you read. You're like, wait, bull riding?
Yeah. Alongside incredible work ethic and passion for the AEW brand. As Chief Operating Officer, he will be a phenomenal asset for AEW as we enter the next phase of the company's ongoing business development and expansion.
So, isn't Triple H the COO of WWE?
I believe so, yeah.
So, he's going to be doing the same job that Triple H does. So, man, let's go.
Apparently, he's going to have The Rock cursing at him now.
Apparently, he's going to be riding bulls too. But anyway, hey, remember that last AEW pay per view we were watching? Remember how
Revolution.
remember how we were all upset that Bleacher Report kept botching? Well, AEW doesn't have to worry about that anymore because AEW Dynasty, which is going to be Sunday, April 21st, 421, is going to be carried live on Thriller TV. Wow. Thriller TV, known as Fight TV in the United States, it's going to be, they signed a deal where they're going to allow AEW, formerly Fight, to air Revolution. They allowed it to air the Revolution pay-per-view after the issues. But there were so many issues going on that Tony Khan like literally was like, yo, hey, I need help. Fight, help me out. Fight TV jumped in. A lot of people got to watch the pay-per-view. So from going forward, all AEW pay-per-views are going to be on Thriller TV. Starting on
really
April 21st. Yeah,
I mean, Thriller TV was formerly Fight.
Yeah, I'm a former Fight TV guy, so having wrestling shows and being on Fight TV, being a executive vice president of content creation for BCW Worldwide on Fight TV was pretty cool.
So you're a COO?
No, I don't ever want to be a COO of anything.
Have you ever ridden a bull before?
No, but I know some. I know some of that. And if you like that, watch the Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, only on Twitch TV. So I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the wrestling world right now. Dark Side of the Ring on Vice is continuing their features. They had a feature episode of Brutus the Barber Beefcake. The official synopsis was Brutus the Barber Beefcake's pain and our path to wrestling world was defined by his decades-long friendship with Hulk Hogan and a horrifying accident that almost took his life. Watch Dark Side of the Ring on Vice TV. I'm telling you, if you're a wrestling fan, that is the show to watch. So many things. You want to get behind the scenes. You will learn about professional wrestling. If you don't want to have to go and read a book, Vice TV is what you want to watch. Hey, you know, speaking of reading books, wasn't there a book by someone named The Man that just came out?
That is right. The Man herself, Becky
so
Lynch.
Funny to hear that.
I know. I love it, though. The Man herself, Becky Lynch, is celebrating the release of her first book, her memoir titled Becky Lynch, The Man, Not Your Average Girl. I love that title. That's an awesome title. Has officially been released this week. Mike Johnson from PW Insider is reporting. She was at NYC. She was in New York City, my home turf, for promotional work on the book, including her first book signing. And here's promotional material for the book. This compelling and deeply personal memoir from WWE superstar Rebecca Quinn aka The Man, aka Becky Lynch, delves into her earliest wrestling days, her scrappy beginnings, and her meteoric rise to fame. By age 7, Rebecca Quinn, now known in the ring as Becky Lynch, was already defying what the world expected of her. Raised in Dublin, Ireland, in a devoutly Catholic family, Rebecca constantly invented new ways to make her mother worry, roughhousing with the neighborhood kids, hosting secret parties while her parents were away, enrolling in a warehouse wrestling school, nearly breaking her neck and almost kneecapping a WWE star before her own wrestling career even began. And she was always in search of a thrilling escape from the ordinary. Rebecca's deep love of wrestling as a child set on her. Rebecca's deep love of wrestling as a child set her on an unlikely path. With few female wrestlers to look to for guidance, Rebecca pursued a wrestling career hoping to change the culture and move away from the antiquated disrespect so often directed at the elite female athletes that graced the ring. Even as a teenager, she knew that she would stop at nothing to earn a space among the greatest wrestlers of our time and to pave a new path for female fighters. Now, she has book signings. She already had a couple of them because they were doing a few days after the first one. So there was one on the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th, and today, the 29th at 6:30 p.m. in Boston, Massachusetts. So the next two book signings, because there's also one from 320 that's out of place for some reason. The next two book signings will be April 2nd at 6 p.m. in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for WrestleMania week at Barnes & Noble, Philly. And after WrestleMania on April 13th at 2 p.m. in Los Angeles, California at Barnes & Noble's The Grove. This seems like a really fun book. I've never bought a wrestler's book before. I've never bought the Stone Cold book, the Mick Foley book, the Daniel Bryan book, even the John Moxley book. I always say, hey, I want to buy these and read them, but I never do. But reading this promotional material
is enticing,
really
isn't it?
does make it appear that Rebecca Quinn, aka Becky Lynch's childhood. She had quite a childhood, almost kneecapping her career, her wrestling career, before it even started. And it just seems like a really down to earth read. Honestly, I would actually like to pick this up and read it.
You want to know something funny? About 20 years ago, no, about maybe 18 years ago, ASW, also Wrestling Canada, I had a mixed intergender match with this fiery little redhead girl. Her name was Rebecca Quinn. Who would have thought that I actually got a pinfall victory over the man, Becky Lynch?
Wow.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have beaten Becky Lynch's ass.
I did not know this.
I didn't. Okay, so a friend of mine is going to send me the video. By the way, a friend of mine said, "Hey, do you remember that girl Rebecca that you guys had that intergender match with at ASW in Canada, right?" I'm like, I've had so many matches, I don't remember. He said, "Well, you probably should remember that because that was Becky Lynch." And I'm like, "No, it wasn't." Sure enough, it really was Becky Lynch.
Wow.
She wrestled here in Portland, Oregon. She's done intergender matches in Portland before she became a star. But mostly, she was the ECCW Super Fight Champion, Women's Super Fight Champion in Canada for NWA's Extreme Canadian Championship Wrestling. So yeah,
wow,
she's been around.
That's crazy.
Like, it is.
You wrestle like you said, you wrestle so many people. All of a sudden, it turns out you wrestled one of the hottest women's stars in professional wrestling.
Well, while I was booking wrestling in Portland, Oregon, I gave Darby Allin his first match ever. He actually talked about it on a video he did. He mentioned BCW Worldwide as being the first place he ever wrestled, and I gave him a shot. I was wrestling in Florida a couple of years ago, WrestleMania weekend, and my tag team partner and I had a match, and we beat this tag team on our way to winning the the right to challenge the tag team champions later on that night. It was a gauntlet match. In that gauntlet match, I beat Alex Reynolds and John Silver, the Dark Order.
Wow.
Would never guessed. Never guessed. The only reason I remember that is because Jay Lethal told me, "Hey, remember that night I first met you? That was the night we wrestled. You wrestled those guys." And I'm like, "Oh my god,
Wow.
that was a long time ago. Crazy." Um, Speaking of crazy, oh man, look, TNA wrestling has had some major ups and downs, but I'm gonna give this one a thumbs up. AJ Francis, you may know him as Top Dollar or Flop Dollar, whatever you want to call him. Hey, AJ Francis has signed a deal and will be with TNA Wrestling for the rest of the year. He signed a deal, and this is from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. It says here, going into 328 episode of TNA Impact Wrestling, one of the advertised segments is AJ Francis and Rich Swann explaining how their alliance came to be. Ahead of the show, it was first reported by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select that Francis signed with TNA and will be with the company for the remainder of 2024. And in an interview with Chris Van Vliet, otherwise known as CVV, Francis stated that he would not be against signing with TNA. And at the TNA TV tapings on March 22nd, Francis and Swan took on ABC, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, the Bullet Club. And that match has yet to air on TV. But as of now, AJ Francis, Top Dollar, has signed with TNA Wrestling for the rest of the year.
Well, good for him. He's entertaining in some respects.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people talk very highly of him, and I didn't hate the guy. I enjoyed his wrestling.
He was always nice to me on
So
Twitter.
he what?
He's always nice to me on Twitter. So
I've never had an interaction with him ever.
he's always nice to me on Twitter. Shout out to AJ Francis.
So that's good. That's awesome to get an interview with CVV. And some other TNA news, however, that
Yeah. Here's the
speaking of
downside.
somebody
Here's the downside.
somebody signing with the company in AJ Francis, but then a tag team in the form of Motor City Machine Guns finish up with TNA.
Yeah.
The TNA roster held a send-off backstage for Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin after the TNA taping in Philadelphia. PW Insider reported that it was a pretty emotional scene backstage. It was their last planned appearance for the promotion as their contracts expire at the end of this month, which is a day or two away from now.
Yeah, like tomorrow.
Their final TV appearance will air in April, featuring the duo challenging Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers for the TNA Tag Team Champions. And a little bit of history. Of course, Chris Sabin debuted for the promotion in 2003 and held every championship the promotion had to offer, including the TNA title, the X Division title, and multiple tag team title runs.
He's a 10-time TNA X Division champion. Like, he is synonymous with the X Division title.
Alex Shelley debuted the year later, in 2004, and held the TNA Championship, the X Division Championship, and the tag team titles as well. As a team, they were a true TNA cornerstone, including 3 title reigns with the tag team championships and several excellent feuds against Beer Money, the Young Bucks, who were going as Generation Me at the time, and Team 3D. Shelley and Sabin have long been TNA cornerstones, but as of April 1st, they will be free agents. And that's sad, The other person who left the company, who was released from the company very recently, Scott D'Amore, was with the company as long as these guys, pretty much.
Hashtag Team Canada.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Those within TNA are painting this team as done for now, but whether they return or not will be dependent on whether they sign elsewhere or whether they wish to work for TNA down the line. So they could. We know we just talked about the Hardys potentially going to maybe TNA or maybe the MLW. Maybe there's an MLW run for Motor City Machine Guns.
That would be kind of cool. I mean, we can
Yeah,
always see the Bucks versus the Machine Guns again in AEW.
true. They could go to AEW. As of right now, they're free. Well, they not as of right now because it's the 30th, but as of or it's almost the 30th, but in 2 days from now, they will be free agents and they can sign a contract wherever they choose. Maybe they won't even sign together.
True.
One might want to go to WWE. One might want to go to MLW. One might want to go back to TNA. I mean,
Imagine them showing up in AEW and them getting a match against the Guns or the Acclaimed or Private Party or shoot any tag team, the FTR. Like, can you imagine these matches with these guys? That would be they would be perfect for an AEW run. Since
yeah,
AEW is
I
tag
agree.
team wrestling, they'd be good for that. But I mean, New Japan, that'd be good for New Japan.
True. Yeah.
And man, as funny as this will sound, they'd be good for the NWA as well.
That's
Okay, I
true.
want to.
They
I
could,
know.
yeah, I mean, there's so many viable options out there.
Yeah, like this
They
is the
could do a
best.
run in GCW if they wanted to.
Dude, this has been the best. This has been the best run of professional wrestling in like the last decade. Like, wrestling is so hot right now. I mean, look at us. We have news. We have more news than we can report on every day.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Now
news,
you had mentioned Punk being a needle mover
oh yeah, I was going to get to that.
before.
I mean, in AEW, Punk was a needle mover. A lot of people say when he went back to WWE, he would cause problems, and he wouldn't. And this is the IWC speaking. He wouldn't do anything in WWE. He showed up at the end of what was it? Survivor Series in Chicago. Sold out Chicago just on a whim that CM Punk might show up. Showed up at the end of the show. One of the biggest pops of our podcast ever.
Yeah.
Like that clip has been played over 3,000 times of us. Like, oh my God, it's CM Punk. Like, it freaked out. But CM Punk has been the needle mover since returning to WWE. I mean, look, this last past Monday's episode of Monday Night Raw was live in Chicago. The episode saw a significant bump in viewership. During the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins segment, they drew 2.2 million viewers.
Wow.
During that segment. 2.2 million viewers. That's crazy. The CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins enhancing the overall viewership experience of the show. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. CM Punk continues to underscore. He basically continues to show people that he is here, he is now, and he is forever WWE. Like, the guys, the just a mention of his name sells out venues. I mean, he really is the needle mover. So if you fans out there don't believe that CM Punk still has drawing power, go look at WrestleNomics. Go look at the 2.2 million viewers during the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre segment.
Which was one of the best segments of the night, honestly.
Best segment. That right there was some of the most heart-wrenching, heartfelt, shit-talking undertones, especially the part where he said about being the chosen one. Who named you that? Who gave you that?
Yeah.
Shooting at Vince McMahon, obviously. And
which we're going to talk about too, right after the story.
Yes. Speaking of Vince McMahon, let's talk about the WWE's consensual relationship policy that was established in 2023.
Yeah, this was by John Pollock and Brandon Thurston. So WWE established a policy on sexual or romantic relationships in the workplace in June of 2023. And the rules were adopted 1 year after news of alleged sexual misconduct involving former chairman Vince McMahon, the one who picked Drew McIntyre as the chosen one, in case nobody knew. The 3-page policy was obtained by Post Wrestling and WrestleNomics and is available here publicly for the first time. And a couple of lines in this consensual relationship policy. An employee shall not exercise responsibility, in parentheses, instructional, evaluative, or supervisory, for any affiliated individual with whom the employee has or had a consensual relationship. The policy states it contains some specific language about the company's top executives. Is in the quote. WWE strongly discourages consensual relationships involving any WWE board member or executive team member, such as the CEO, president, CFO, chief content officer, chief legal officer, or chief human resources officer.
Wow.
It's interesting. They discourage consensual relationships.
Exactly.
Which, of course, the alleged allegations from Janelle Grant as of late, they were not consensual.
Not in the least.
So, yeah, that was in June of 2023. Now, this was after, of course, the alleged sexual misconduct that I just mentioned with Janelle Grant. But yeah, I mean, you'd think that this would be something that a company would have from its beginning. Maybe they should be discouraging more things. Like, there are multiple people in the company that are married already.
Yeah.
They have consensual relationships. But maybe we should also be discouraging non-consensual relationships.
I mean, that right there will be the that will be
if you feel like somebody of power is coming on to you in a way that will negatively affect your job if you say no, maybe you should be reported to the company. There
I
should be
mean,
language like that in this thing.
you know what I'm going to say, Drew. If if you feel unsafe about something, tell somebody. Don't be worried about a job. Don't worry about losing a career. Your mental stability and your safety is more important than a paycheck. That's guaranteed. So I want to close it out on this. You guys all watched Monday Night Raw. You guys saw the iconic attack on Cody Rhodes. What you didn't know was that a WWE Hall of Famer and a 47-year-old star who is currently on the shelf, and he is now a producer in the WWE, they produced this segment. This is the first time there has been like blood, like in the history of WWE. There's only been certain segments as violent as this. And guess what? Two of those segments involved The Rock. One was The Rock.
Right.
One was The Rock and Stone Cold. We threw Stone Cold over the bridge, which was in the same city, Philadelphia, by the way.
Yeah.
This attack on Cody Rhodes by The Rock was orchestrated and produced by none other. You ready for this? The glorious one, Bobby Roode, and one Michael PSAs.
Bobby Roode had a hand in that amazing segment. Wow.
That is so great. Sports Key to confirm that Michael Hayes and Bobby Roode produced everything related to it. We're talking about the show's opening promo, The Rock interrupting the Jey Uso versus The Rock interrupting Jey Uso and Nakamura, the brawl at the end of the night with Seth Rollins and the Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, all that whole thing, including the Rock's attack on Cody, whooping him with the belt, the threatening to throw him over the thing. All of that stuff was produced by Michael P.S. Hayes and Bobby Roode. Shout out to Bobby Roode, man. He sustained an injury that kept him out for a while, and he got cleared not too long ago to come back to active duty as a wrestler. And he said, no, I think I want to work backstage and help other people. Selfless.
That's awesome.
An amazing guy. Bobby Roode, shout out to you. Michael P.S. Hayes doing a good job. That was one of the greatest segments in the WWE in a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, The Rock, listen, we've talked about The Rock and how he's really restored the feeling in a lot of ways, uh, particularly for me. But yeah, this was very well done by Michael Hayes and Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode, that's really cool. Hopefully, maybe he'll return to the ring at some point. Maybe to like close out his career properly. In his, I mean, he could also just be like, "Hey, I have already ended my career, and I'm happy with uh, how it went, and he doesn't need to return. That's up to him." Um, but yeah, that was an all time really like you said, like the last time Raw, one of the most famous Raw endings was Stone Cold and The Rock, and Rock throwing him over the bridge. Um, and this really had that feeling, so much so that some people even thought that it was going to happen again because it looked like they were right next to some sort of a bridge where there was he could toss
Mm-hmm.
Cody right over that ledge, and a lot of people were saying like, "Oh my God, is he going to toss him over?" Like he
It
did
would
with
have been
Stone
great.
Cold.
It would have been great. Me personally, I was like, do it, do it, do it. Well,
Um, yeah, so we'll see what happens when I attend for the very first time Monday Night Raw
oh yeah, that's
on
right.
Monday, this coming Monday, April 1st, at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, when The Rock and Roman Reigns will be in attendance. And yeah, that's going to be really exciting. I'm very, very, very excited for that. Can't wait for that. So yeah, that's our final story.
Well, you know what that means. Today
It's
in wrestling
time.
history. Speaking of great producers who produced that great segment, Michael P.S. Hayes, happy birthday. Michael Hayes was born
Happy
today
birthday.
in 1959 in Marietta, Georgia. Truly a boy on Bad Street. Um, we had, oh man, Dutch Savage defeats Duke Savage defeats Pete Sanchez. Let's see, we had Jim Barnett becomes the person who is in charge of Mid South Sports and changes the name to Georgia Championship Wrestling, which become the NWA's WCW, Georgia Championship Wrestling. Um, so many great things happened today. I'm trying to narrow down some things that I really want to talk about because today in 1979, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation drops a W and becomes the World Wrestling Federation. Um, I am a I am the longest reigning NWA Pacific Northwest Wrestling Heavyweight Champion in history. But that title that I held is a offshoot championship of a championship that Salvatore Marino defeated Gene Kiniski in Vancouver, Washington to become the NWA Pacific North Coast Heavyweight Champion. I'm sorry, Vancouver, Canada. And that title will become the NWA Pacific Northwest Heavyweight Championship. Um, you know, a lot of people may not remember this, but the WWE in 1987, WrestleMania 3, had a world record of 93,173 fans in the Pontiac Silverdome. That was today in 1987. The Can-Am Connection, Rick Martel and Tom Zink, they defeated the Magnificent Morocco and Bob Orton with Mr. Fuji. Billy Jack Haynes went to a double countout with Hercules. Hillbilly Jim and the Haiti Kid and Little Beaver defeated King Kong Bundy, Little Tokyo, and Lord Littlebrook by disqualification. King Harley Race and the WWF Women's Champion, the Fabulous Moolah, he beat the Junkyard Dog in a loser must wear a bow tie match. The Dream Team, Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine with Dino Bravo and Johnny Valentine defeated the fabulous Rougeau brothers. Roddy Piper defeated adorable Adrian Adonis with Jimmy Hart in a hair versus hair match when he put him to sleep in the sleeper. The Hart Foundation and Danny Davis defeated the British Bulldogs and Tito Santana. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This right here is legendary. This match is one of the matches that made me want to become a professional wrestler. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat pins WWF Intercontinental Champion Randy the Macho Man Savage. This is the match that Ricky Steamboat had come back after the bell to the larynx when Ricky was out for a long time. Ricky becomes the Intercontinental Champion. The Honky Tonk Man, a man that I defeated, defeated George Animal Steel. We had Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, and Nikolai Volkov and Iron Sheik defeat the Killer Bees. And we had WWF Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan pin Andre the Giant after the scoop slam and leg drop heard around the world. You know where Hogan picked up that nasty giant, brother, that 17,520-pound giant, and he just body slammed him. That's the day. That's the day. Oh, man. Men on a Mission, Mabel and Mo defeated Quebecers at a house show in London, Royal Albert Hall, to become the WWF Tag Team Champions. Congratulations to my mentor, Bobby Horn, a.k.a. Sir Mo. Today is the day you became a WWF Tag Team Champion. All that and then some, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Roundtable Network News. That's true. I'm Bad Blood. We'll see you guys when we see you. Thank you for joining us. Have a great Saturday.